Hey everyone, this video is kind of a departure from my normal build videos. I want to share some vaping tips that I have put together over the past few months. So please put the kids to bed and let's get started. First, I wanted to give some quick shout outs. Some of the tips that I'm sharing are modifications of other videos I've found on YouTube. Of course, there are too many to list. I'd also like to give a big shout out to Vape 911 in Atlanta, Georgia, who you may have seen on CNN. They have an outstanding selection of 50/50 e-juices and are reasonably priced. And lastly, I would like to shout out to Reynolds Lorillard, the maker of Blu cigs and cartridges. Just some quick background. I started vaping a few months ago when I purchased a Blu starter kit. Give me a second to mount this camera and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The Blu starter kits look like this. I had two problems with the Blus that forced me to start researching vaping and e-juice. The first problem was that the batteries didn't last very long, and I guess I was either a strong inhaler or I would kill the batteries in less than 2 hours. The Blu starter kits come with two batteries, which take about 2 hours to recharge each. So I found myself frequently with no batteries. So I started researching some better batteries, and I ran across and settled on the Joyetech 510T batteries. Mainly because they were thinner, don't require an engineering degree to operate, and last for a few hours. I'm fairly confident that Joyetech doesn't make these batteries anymore, but now makes something slightly longer, wider, and probably better. Just a quick fact, 510 refers to the threading style. Right here. And as it turns out, the Blu cartridges also are 510 threaded. So I continue to use my Blu carts with the Joyetech 510T batteries. That's when I ran into my second problem. The Blu carts last about a day. They say they're equivalent to a pack of cigarettes, but that just wasn't my experience. Their flavors are tasty and definitely fix the craving, and they are easy to buy, but they are a bit pricey, and I felt they should last longer. Let me be clear, though, the Blus are outstanding cartridges and produce lots of enjoyable vapor, so I didn't want to use those anymore, so I started using the tanks that came with the Joyetech 510 and e-juice from Vape 911, Midnight Express, my favorite. This worked out quite well, except that the tanks leak. And no matter what I tried, I couldn't keep them from leaking in my pocket or on hot days or when I laid them down like that. Finally, I got fed up with these tanks and went back to the Blu cartridges. But I really missed my Midnight Express from Vape 911, so I researched some replacement tanks, and unfortunately everyone complained that the tanks leaked or had some kind of problem. Another option was something called a Clearomizer tank, but the Clearomizer tanks are much larger and I wasn't interested. So I thought to myself, I wonder if I can refill these Blu cartridges. So I started by dissecting a Blu cartridge, which I do not have in front of me. They have an atomizer, a nylon wick, and some cotton wadding that goes around them. At first I didn't have much luck refilling these cartridges, but I kept on going until I got the hack right. So I'm going to show you today how you, from start to finish, how you can refill one of these Blu cartridges. Let me start with a brand new Blu cart. Tasty and lots of good smoke. As you can see, there is lots of vapor, and it's really quite tasty. Like I said, they're quite good, and they last about a day. But when the flavor is gone, you'll notice a bad taste. When you get that bad taste, stop vaping that cartridge, or you will burn the wick and wadding, and you won't be able to refill it. Now, removing the cap. Let me get a different one. There's a cap on these cartridges. To remove the cap, sometimes I can get my thumbnail under there. Ooh, got it that time. Let's go ahead and put that back on though. And you can pop them off with your thumb, but if you can't get it in there, stick a fork in the hole and just pop them off like that. Then I use a toothpick to get this little rubber stopper out here. Just push down a little bit, pop right out. And then that's what they look like on the inside. Of course, be prepared with some paper towels, and be sure to wear gloves or wash your hands immediately if you touch the e-juice. It does contain nicotine. This one's kind of empty, so I'm not so worried about it. Next, we remove the rubber stopper, and there's the wadding. Next, get a cup of hot water, hot tap water, and drop the cartridge in there. I've also tried to use grain alcohol for this trick, but it doesn't work as well. Let the water run through it like this. Until the water comes out clear and the water absorbs into the wadding quickly. You can also blow them out, but you're exposing your lips to nicotine, and that's not a good thing. Rinse this way about 5 to 10 minutes. It may take 2 times to get all the sugar esters and e-juice out and most of the flavor gone. I can also recommend that you use a flavor similar to the blue cartridge, and you won't notice any flavor carryover. So you can see that the wadding is clearly absorbent. There we go. And that was just less than a minute. But you want to get it real clean. So what I'm going to do is stop this, and I'll get this one clean, and then I'm going to show you how to dry them. You want to get the cart really dry. You can let it dry overnight, but I want to share this trick that I've seen online. I saw this done with a Lincoln log on a string, but really anything that will hold the cart will work. In my case, I used a piece of scrap wood. I drilled a hole for the string. Then I drilled a 1/4-inch hole on the other end for the cartridge. Then I thread the cartridge carefully into this hole, and this one goes in pretty easy because I've already pre-threaded it. And then I carefully spin it dry. Now it really helps to have the right tip on your e-juice bottle to refill them. The ones with the needle tips work the best because you can get the e-juice right down into the wadding. If your e-juice has this kind of tip, it's a little more difficult, but it works. Or of course you can go online and get a syringe, but I like to keep things simple. Let's go ahead and refill this. Now notice how the e-juice absorbs easily into the wadding. If it doesn't, either the cartridge isn't clean or the e-juice is too thick. To thin your e-juice, you can use a couple drops of pure grain alcohol if needed. If your juice runs out the bottom, then it's too thin, and you can add some vegetable glycerin to thicken it up. When the wadding stays wet on top, it's fully full. Try not to overfill the cartridges, or when you put the cap and stopper back in, it'll squirt out. So let me go ahead and put a little more in here. All right, this one looks like it's full. So let's go ahead and put the rubber stopper back in. Be very careful not to crimp the nylon tube in the middle. And let's put the cap back on. I like to clean my batteries and cartridges frequently, so you can do that by just rubbing the threadings inside of a paper towel. And then you can also clean the battery in a similar way. Okay. Give a couple light puffs. If you hear that gurgling, it means that you've gotten e-juice into the nylon tube. To fix that, just put in a paper towel like this and blow. As you can see, that clears it out. And voila, a refilled blue cartridge with your favorite e-juice. Of course, always be careful to refill the cartridge when the vapor stops so that you don't burn the nylon tube or wadding. Hope you enjoyed this and found it useful. If you're interested in seeing how to easily make homemade e-juice flavors, I should be making a video on that soon. Thank you very much, and please comment if you have any questions or comments. Midnight Express.